Hey everybody, and welcome back to some of our Module 0 instructions on just getting kind of acclimated with the course. The focus of this video here is to just get a feel for what's going to be going on in our course Blackboard page. Now, the course Blackboard page is going to kind of be the command center for where you're going to take the class. It's where you're going to get most of the material. It's where you're going to take your quizzes and exams. Almost everything in the course is going to be on this Blackboard page. So let's take a look here, and the first thing that I'll tell you is this is still a work in progress. This is a few days before go time, and so a couple of things are going to change, but structurally it's pretty much is what it's going to be. So this is the home page. It should be pretty similar to what you see here. There's not going to be a huge amount on the home page, but you are going to be able to look at some announcements, which I'll use occasionally, not terribly often, but we will do that from time to time. The What's New can show you some of this new material, like the different exams, assignments, other content, which I wouldn't go into that tab because it probably won't be structured the way I want it to. But let's look at these little tabs over here. This is where we can navigate our way through the course. So we have our home page, which we're on. We have some other tabs, including our syllabus, our classroom, discussions, resources. By the way, if you can't see those tabs, sometimes students say they can't see them. Here's what usually happens. Sometimes they get pushed over there and it full screens the home page. And just find the little arrow here, click on it, and you should get the menu. So what we're mainly going to be working with this semester is things above this line. There's some general help and tools and that sort of thing in there. You won't really need to go there. We've already talked about the home page. We have the syllabus tab. Here is the infamous syllabus that you should download and review as one of the very first things you do in the course. But the vast majority of what you're going to be doing is going to be here in the online classroom. So let's take a look at the online classroom. The online classroom is where almost everything in the course is going to take place, all of that material. So we can see there's kind of a general introduction there. There is a guideline to how we're going to take exams. You have to download what's called the Respondus browser. There are some guidelines for that as well as where to download it. There is an ungraded practice quiz, which you'll probably want to take before your first exam just to make sure everything works, your webcam works, your browser works, you know how to handle it. But most of the content in the course is going to be located in these different modules. There are 13 different modules with content in them, and then a module 0, which is, again, sort of introductory stuff. So let's look first at what one of those content modules is going to look like, because that's, again, where the stuff that you're going to be learning is going to be. And then we'll go to module 0, and we'll poke around there for a moment as well. So here's module 1. It's called Basic Idea and Methods. You can see that there are some general instructions and introductions for that module, but most of it is basically a series of short videos like this one. So we see here that we have a series of material for the modules. It's intended to be watched from top to bottom. Each one is its own idea, but you might get a little lost if you don't go from top to bottom. So for each one, there is a video that you can watch. You can click on it. It will open up in a little window. And press play, or you can alternately view it on YouTube itself if you want like a fuller screen there. So you can look at each one of those in turn, and each module you'll progress through those videos, and then at the end of each module there's generally a practice quiz. So we have a little practice quiz that you can download. These are some sample items. They aren't graded, they aren't submitted. You can basically sit down and try to complete those as if you were being tested on them. And then you can go down to the practice quiz with answers and see how you did. So that's a little bit of a supplement to your homework and to the graded material. Another note is that each one of these little lectures, these little videos, has a PDF file there that is just the slides, only the slides that I'm talking over in these videos. So if you get sick of hearing the sound of my voice, first of all, I respect it, but you can just look at those downloads and review the material that was present there. It also can help you with studying, where you can kind of go at your own pace instead of having to like pause and unpause a video to try to figure out what's going on while I'm talking in your ear. So that's something you can obtain as well. Let's go back to online classroom and look at module 0. Before you start any of those basic modules, you should come here. So we can see that there is some basic introductory stuff here. There are some initial videos. There are some things to do on our discussion forum, which we'll get to in just a second. And then there's also a algebra quiz attached to that module that is worth extra credit points if you complete it in the first week of the course, but isn't actually graded. You're going to get a grade on it, like a percentage of questions you got right, but whether that's 0% or 100%, you still just get the extra credit points, right? This is just designed to be a gauge on how well you understand basic processes in the course. So here we see some of our initial videos here. We see our course intro and syllabus videos with some instructions and goals. We see this Blackboard video, which, hey, how does that already exist if I'm shooting it? Well, that's last year's video, and I'm reshooting it now. We have some material on how to do your homework. The one thing, or the couple of things that you're going to do off the Blackboard site is reading your book and doing your regular homework over the course of the semester. So there will be a separate video that's going to come after this one that will tell you how to do that. There's some general stuff on taking quizzes and exams, and then some general tips for the course and some big ideas. We also have a little bit of information on our textbook, a student success guide, and that algebra quiz that we discussed. So this will look a little different by the time you get to it, but more or less the same. There's also a separate subfolder here called Some Basics that has some things like technical requirements, expectations, what you ought to be able to do to take the course, some general rules about netiquette, which is kind of an old word, but basically not being a jerk online, which is not a new concept. So all of that is present here in Module 0. And again, once you've completed Module 0, you should start beginning the content right away. There will be some quizzes that will happen from place to place that you will be able to take and upload. And then at certain points in the sequence, you'll be told, okay, now it's time for you to take the next test, or this test once you've completed this material. When you are ready to take exams, they are going to be located at the bottom of the screen. So in here, all of your tests and all the materials for those tests, except for the final exam, are going to be located. So when we look down here, we see study guides and formula sheets for each of the exams. You'll want to review the study guide. You'll want to print off a copy of the formula sheet. You are expected to have that with you when you take the test. Talk about that a little bit later. And then the exams themselves. The only thing that isn't there is the final exam. That's only going to show up on the date that you can take it. So there's a video about taking those. You can get a little more detail. Let's move on to some other stuff. Over here, we also have the discussions tab. Over the course of the semester, there's going to be various discussions that we're going to have. First, I have an introductory forum here where we can kind of get to know each other. I can't, call attendance and ask you what your favorite color is or whatever in person like I normally would. So we have an opportunity here to post so that I get to know your names and get to be able to kind of figure out who's taking the class, what their interests are, what they like to do. There's also a forum here for frequently asked questions. So I've listed some frequently asked questions in there, but if you'd like to get answers to those, you certainly can. But if you have some infrequently asked questions or something that's on the tab that's not on the screen, you can also reply here or start a new thread, and I will give you some feedback on those as well. So then we go back to discussion. We can see there's a couple other things there as well. There's another extra credit thing you can do where you can look for examples of statistics in the real world and post them here. That due date's going to change. But you will kind of be able to get some information here. There's also little forums here for students to talk to one another about material to prepare for the different exams, where you can kind of bounce ideas off each other or ask for help. Maybe a student explaining it will make a little more sense than I will. You also, of course, can contact me via email or via Skype. We have a resources tab. There's not a heck of a lot in there at this point. A lot of it's redundant with what's in Module 0. Where it can be helpful is when it comes to having technical difficulties with any of the equipment. I'm not a tech support person. I don't really know how to fix your computer. So that could be a good starting point for figuring out how to fix your issues or how to find somebody that does know better than me how to, again, get things up and running. Make sure your equipment, your tech is up and running as soon as possible, by the way. You don't want to be scrambling the last couple days of the semester to do that. Eventually, of course, you'll have your own grades here in the My Grades tab, but there won't be anything there for right now. So that's the major areas of our Blackboard page. And again, familiarize yourself with it as soon as possible. Start the material as soon as possible. And if there's anything I haven't covered, just send me an email, contact me via Skype during my online office hours, and we'll chat about it. We'll try to get you on the right track. All right, that's all for now. So enjoy the course Blackboard page, and I will see you at the next video.